Third question. What does the Bible say about in parenting? How do you address your high schooler when they are overly moody?
You know, this is as far as the moodiness thing goes. Let me do this with you. I got to find this passage. I think it's in 1 Corinthians. This is in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, and it says this: Moreover, brethren, I don't want you, starting in verse 1, I don't want you to be unaware that all our fathers, and he's talking about the Jews, were under the cloud, all passed through the sea, all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. They all ate the same spiritual food, they all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with most of them, God was not well pleased, for their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. Now these things became our examples, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted. And so he goes on to talk about idolatry and sexual immorality and that kind of thing in this context. And it's because he's talking about sexual immorality in 1 Corinthians. But when you go back and you look at the book of Exodus and the book of Numbers, many times when God is disciplining the people of Israel, he's not disciplining them for outright rebellion in the sense of they're going after idolatry. That's later on. He's disciplining them for bad attitudes.
Interesting.
It's for murmuring is
It's true.
what God's disciplining them for. And so when I look at discipline of my kids, I do it for the 2 R's. Wrong attitudes, and I know it starts with a W. Wrong attitudes and rebellion. is what I always discipline my kids for. And so I not only want them to do the right thing and not be rebellious, but I want them to do the right thing with the right attitude. And so talking with my teenagers, it was one of those things where all their hormones start getting involved, and a lot of times they're not thinking rationally many times. And so I throw in for that and try to be kind to them on that level. Try to understand where their head's at and what they're going through in that situation. But it doesn't change the fact that they need to not have a bad attitude about things. One of the things that I did with my teenagers, and this is my own kids, and I did it with kids in my youth group. I would tell them that is really unattractive because kids want to be attractive. They want to be people that other people like, and it's a big fat deal to them. And they need to know the truth that a snotty kid with a bad attitude and the whole moody thing and all that stuff, nobody wants to be around that. Nobody wants to play with you when you have that kind of stuff going on. And so I had talks with my kids about that, about what you look like when you're doing that kind of stuff. And it was something that's really effective because they do care about what their friends think and about what other people think. And you just use that stuff. A lot of stuff with teenagers is teaching them how to live life because they don't know how, and teaching them how to be an adult because they don't know how. So
this week I had something that applies to this so well. So I have 2 middle boys. They're just getting, one of them's in junior high, the other one's just getting into junior high. So they're just kind of like getting into that rebellious possible time. And the oldest one,
his kids are awesome, by the way.
I do like my kids. No, but this kid, these 2 boys, the middle boys, they don't want to do something that they do every week. There's like this thing that we do, and I get a call from the younger one, and he says, "Dad, I'm going to fast until I don't have to do this thing." And I said, "You want to fast until you can't do it?" And then the older one's next to him, and he says, "Yeah, we're on strike." And
it's
so
a hunger strike in the B household.
exactly. And so I explained to my the older son. I said to both of them, I said, "Hey, there's a difference between fasting and striking, right?" And I explained to him the fasting and the striking. Striking means that you have a really bad attitude and you really want to, get something you want even though you're not going to get it. And he's like, "Yeah, we're on strike. Yeah, that's what we're on." But what I ended up doing is I ended up sitting down my older son and I ended up saying, "Dude, you need to realize that you're affecting your moodiness and this thing that you're wanting to do is actually affecting your little brother. And you even had your little brother be the one to call me and talk to me." And so, moodiness, one thing that I feel like changes things is when you explain to them that you're making an effect on your other siblings. Now, I guess if you don't have any other, if it's just a single child, it'd be a different thing. But I mean, like, everything we do has a cause and effect.
Right.
And if you don't want your brothers and sisters to become horrible, then you need to be good, Like so I don't know. That's a practical advice.